Hello, everyone. Morning, Lois. Happy
Hi, how are you?
Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I'm good. I'm good.
It is a beautiful day here. There's
It
so much going on.
is.
It's summer. I love it officially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're talking today a little bit more about friendship and specifically friendship when you have a diagnosis. Um,
Yes.
how you deal with the people in your life um, when you are in that place, or maybe um, if you are in relationship with people who are friends who have uh, a specific diagnosis.
Yeah.
I know I have a diagnosis, um, a long-term diagnosis, um, and I've also had friends who have diagnoses. Um,
Yep.
and it's funny, you can get into these ruts in your friendship. I had a friend who we both had struggles, and so it allowed us to relate really well.
Mhm.
But every time we got together, we would look at each other, and the first thing she would ask me was, "What's the problem?" or "What's wrong?"
Because you'd know.
Because she automatically knew,
Wow.
which on some level was really awesome, because there was a connection she had, that she knew just to ask, even if there was nothing wrong. But then I was like, why does something always have to be wrong? Like
Unless you're in denial.
when I was happy, like, why couldn't I
Mm-hmm.
just be happy?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's this joy that I think it's important to think towards, think towards, you know,
Yeah.
um, acknowledge where you are and where you want to be as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Acknowledging where you are right now, and especially when your friend asks you what's wrong, because they sometimes will see you a little bit more because they're up close and personal, right? So they'll see you and your expressions and your body language and be able to read you better than you think they can. And so when they ask you that question of how you're doing, and you're like, well, nothing's wrong, or why does everything have to be wrong? I'm okay. When you might be just denying it, right? And they already know because they see it. So being able to own up to whatever it is that you're going through, and being able to feel vulnerable. One of my things about friendship, being vulnerable to share that with that friend that you trust. And those kinds of friends are rare. So yes, you need to be able to own what you're going through. You need to be vulnerable enough to be honest, and vulnerable enough to share whatever it is you're going through, because they want to know and they want to walk with you through that. And hopefully with support, you can get through it together. So whether it be an illness, whether it be an emotional thing, whether it be a physical thing, um, it's always good to have someone going through that walk with you, as opposed to being by yourself. It's just good to know that you have someone who has your interest at heart, who has your back, and who's empathetic to your situation, whatever that situation is. And so I think that's part of being a good friend. It's part of friendship. And I think that's how we show up for our friends who may have a diagnosis. That's how we show up for ourselves when we have a diagnosis, that we share, what we're going through, whether it be physical or emotional at the time. So that's important to be able to do that in a friendship. It's a two-way give and take situation. So I agree with what you're saying. Absolutely important.
the hard thing to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
to connect with our own stories. Um, I had a conversation with you um, where we were talking about stories.
Yeah.
And one of the things you said to me was, you can't expect um, someone else to um, just tell you their story and you not share yours. Part of this whole thing is give and take.
Yeah.
And that has been for me a real struggle over the years to come to the point where I'm willing to share the story. And I didn't think that was the case. I thought, oh, I'm an open book. And I don't know how that happens, where in your mind you think you're just so open, because probably in a lot of ways that's true, or on a lot of subjects that's true.
Mhm.
But I realized on the topic of music, I was
Mhm.
so not going to share what kind of music I liked with people.
Really?
Like I started realizing when I realized
Huh.
that music was really not, people would ask me what kind of music I liked,
Yeah.
and I couldn't tell them.
You couldn't tell them because, or you didn't want to tell them.
Well, I didn't want to, and I couldn't. It was like, yes, didn't want to have a conversation about it.
Ah.
And it kind of made me realize there were certain things that I was closed off about,
Ah.
and certain things that I was really open about, and certain things that I was protecting, and certain things that I was just so giving about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're all like that. We have certain things that we're happy to share, and certain things that no, we're not going to. And that's not always a bad thing, you know. But our friends should be able to know some of those things about us, if we're truly being open and letting ourselves be seen.
Yeah. Especially, that's why trust is important, I think, because when you have trust in your relationships and your friendships, then you should be okay with letting your guard down and not feeling threatened by sharing, because you have trust of that person and you know that that person, I think that's what kind of separates our true friends from those people that are just associates or just acquaintances, or that say they're friends but are really, you're not comfortable sharing a lot of things with them. The fact that you're not feeling threatened by that friendship or by that person says a lot about who they are. So if you're that trusting of them, then you should be able to let down the guard from time to time and just let that person in, because you trust them and they trust you to be honest with them, to share what's going on with you so that they can support you however they can support you. And I think it also speaks to us not being afraid to accept help or support or encouragement from somebody outside of us. We should be able to accept, like we accept praise or we accept criticism or whatever. We should be open to accepting help and encouragement and support from our friends, because we trust them and they trust us to be honest with them so that they can support us and be there in the gap for us. So that's important. Absolutely.
We'll be talking about friendship again
Yep.
next week. This week we have a little gift to give you.
Yeah.
We'll be dropping a link to that in the comments.
Mhm.
When we think about how we treat ourselves, sometimes it's not the best. We can get down on ourselves and we can start to think negatively, but we need to kind of press against that and remember we are worth it. We
Yeah.
are lovely. We are created to do good things. And so we put together just some of those reminders for you. You post them on your wall or read them to yourself or speak them out loud. And they're just very minimalistic and clean so that you can put them in any color combination you want. But would love to just give those to you if you would like. So
Yeah.
we hope you have a wonderful week.
Yeah.
And we'll talk soon.
Have a great Monday and have a great rest of your week. We'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.